mynews.studio.
Helicopters hovered over the Amazon canopy as world leaders gathered to sign a climate pact. The question now is, can enforcement finally catch up with ambition?
Today is 2025-11/05. The COP30 summit just wrapped up in Belém, Brazil, and there's a lot of talk about this new climate agreement being historic. But what actually makes it different from the last dozen summits?
The real difference this time is enforcement. For the first time, countries are actually legally required to submit updated nationally determined contributions, those NDCs that outline their emissions targets. They have to report progress every year now. And
Wait, so not just self-reporting anymore?
right, the reports aren't just signed off by the countries themselves anymore. There's now a mandatory independent international review built in.
So, is this the first time we're seeing actual consequences tied to these climate goals? Because before, a lot of promises kind of faded out.
That's exactly it. The agreement includes traceability systems for high deforestation supply chains, like beef and soy. If a shipment can't prove it's not connected to illegal deforestation, it can be blocked or penalized. And countries that don't show progress risk losing access to climate funds and could even face trade consequences.
Let's get into the money side. There's a $7 billion annual commitment, plus this new tropical forest forever facility. How is that different from previous finance promises that honestly haven't always delivered?
This fund is performance-based. To access it, countries need to show real progress toward net zero emissions and lower deforestation. The aim is to raise up to $125 billion by 2030. But the money goes first to the regions at highest risk of deforestation, areas rich in biodiversity, and, importantly, territories managed by indigenous and local communities.
That's a significant change. Indigenous communities have often been left out or just consulted late. What's actually different here?
COP30 made it mandatory for indigenous representatives to be on the governance boards of these funding mechanisms. Indigenous groups will get direct financial transfers this time, no intermediaries. Plus, they secured faster legal recognition of indigenous land rights, so control of territory stays with them.
Scientists at the summit issued a warning. Losing just 5% more of the Amazon could trigger an irreversible collapse. That would release enough carbon to completely undermine the Paris targets. How close are we to that tipping point?
We're alarmingly close. The Amazon holds up to 200 billion tons of carbon, and at current deforestation and degradation rates, we could reach that 5% threshold within a decade. That's why this agreement puts so much focus on satellite monitoring and rapid response measures.
Are there enforcement mechanisms beyond just reporting? What actually happens if a country or company doesn't comply?
Non-compliance means losing access to climate finance, but also facing trade consequences. Countries allowing products linked to illegal deforestation could see export bans or extra tariffs. It's a mix of penalties and incentives. The traceability in supply chains is a real technical advance. If you can't prove your beef or soy is deforestation-free, it can't move.
And who's responsible for tracking all this? Is it just governments, or are others involved?
There's a mix. Governments, yes, but also civil society groups, independent scientists, and indigenous organizations. The international review panels are designed to include all these voices, so oversight isn't just top-down.
The Amazon's fate is now front and center on the global climate agenda. If this works, do you think we'll see similar approaches for other critical ecosystems?
That's the idea. The Tropical Forest Forever facility was built to be scalable, so the same model could be used for Congo Basin forests, Southeast Asian rainforests, anywhere facing intense deforestation risks.
So to recap, mandatory reporting, international review, supply chain traceability, indigenous leadership, and finance tied directly to results. Is that enough to avoid the tipping point?
It's a major step forward, but it all depends on follow-through. The tools are finally in place. The real test is whether countries and companies actually use them.
That's the big question.
We have enforcement mechanisms. Indigenous leadership is now set, and the funding model ties money directly to results. the Amazon's future is now central in climate policy.
These changes could shape climate action far beyond South America. Thanks for breaking it all down.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now for free.